Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Awesome. Today, we're tackling something that I think is super relevant to pretty much everyone listening. Growth mindset.
Oh yeah, growth mindset. It's a big one.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I'm really excited to dig into the sources we found for this one.
Me too. There's some really interesting stuff in there.
For sure. So, to kind of set the stage for anyone who might be new to this whole growth mindset thing, can you give us like a quick rundown of what it's all about?
Sure. So basically, growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, your talents, your intelligence, they're not fixed. They can be developed.
Okay, so it's not like you're just stuck with what you're born with. You can actually get better at things.
Exactly. It's about believing that you can learn and grow and improve through effort, practice, and good strategies.
Got it. So it's the opposite of like a fixed mindset where you think, oh, I'm just bad at math, or I'll never be a good writer.
Exactly. And the thing is, a lot of us have these fixed mindset thoughts without even realizing it. It's like these sneaky little voices in our heads holding us back.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
But okay, so how does this growth mindset thing actually work in practice? Like, what's the science behind it?
Well, one of the leading researchers in this area is Dr. Carol Dweck from Stanford. Her work has shown that people with a growth mindset, they tend to be more successful in all areas of life.
Wow, so it's not just some feel-good concept, there's actual research backing it up.
Oh yeah, tons of research. And what's really fascinating is that it even affects our brains. When we have a growth mindset and we're learning something new, our brains actually form new connections. It's like we're literally rewiring our brains for success.
That's incredible. So it's like we have the power to change our brains just by changing our mindset.
Pretty much. And that's why growth mindset is so powerful. It's not just about positive thinking, it's about changing the way we approach challenges and setbacks.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to see why this is such a big deal. But let's get into the nitty-gritty here. How do we actually cultivate a growth mindset? What are some practical steps we can take?
Well, the sources we have for this deep dive offer some really great tips. One of the biggest things is embracing challenges.
Embrace challenges, but isn't that like the opposite of what most people do?
It definitely can be, but think about it this way. When you avoid challenges, you're essentially staying in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. You're not really pushing yourself to grow.
Exactly. But when you embrace challenges, you see them as opportunities to learn and develop new skills. You start to see failure not as a bad thing, but as a stepping stone to success.
So it's like reframing those I can't moments into how can I moments.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. It's about shifting your perspective from I'm not good at this to I'm not good at this yet, but I can learn.
Okay, I'm liking this already. What else can we do to cultivate a growth mindset?
Another key thing is seeking feedback.
Feedback, like asking for criticism.
Exactly, but not just any feedback. It has to be constructive feedback. Feedback that helps you identify areas where you can improve.
Okay, so it's not about getting your ego stroked, it's about getting honest feedback that can help you grow.
Right. And this can be tough for a lot of people because we don't like to hear that we're not perfect. But when you have a growth mindset, you understand that feedback is a gift.
I like that feedback as a gift. It's a totally different way of looking at it.
And it's a super valuable one because it helps you see things from different perspectives and identify blind spots that you might not be aware of.
Makes sense. What else? Give me more growth mindset gold.
Another one that's so important, especially in our culture of instant gratification, is celebrating progress, not just the end result.
Oh, I love that one. So often we get caught up in focusing on the destination that we forget to appreciate the journey.
Exactly. And with a growth mindset, you're all about the journey. You celebrate every small win, every step forward, no matter how tiny it might seem.
It's like giving yourself a high five for every little accomplishment.
Exactly. And those little celebrations, they add up, they keep you motivated, and they reinforce that growth mindset. They remind you that you're making progress even when it doesn't feel like it.
This is so good. I feel like I'm already starting to shift my thinking here. Okay, what else? What other gems do we have from the sources?
Well, another important practice is self-reflection. Taking the time to really analyze your actions, your thoughts, and your behaviors.
Self-reflection, so like journaling or meditation.
Those are great tools for self-reflection, but it can also be as simple as taking a few minutes at the end of each day to ask yourself some key questions.
Like what? Give me some examples.
What went well today? What could I have done differently? What did I learn? These are all great questions to ask yourself.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful. It's like taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. And when you do that regularly, you start to identify patterns and you gain a deeper understanding of yourself, your strengths, and your areas for growth.
And I'm guessing that self-awareness helps us to make better decisions and choices, right?
Absolutely. It's like having a roadmap for your personal growth journey.
I love that analogy. Okay, this is all so insightful. Anything else we should be doing to cultivate this awesome growth mindset?
One more that I think is really crucial, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Oh yeah, our tribe, our crew, our people.
Exactly. The people we spend time with, they have a huge impact on our mindset, whether we realize it or not.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
If you're hanging out with people who are constantly negative and complaining, it's going to be hard to stay positive and motivated.
Right. It's like their negativity is contagious. But on the flip side, if you're surrounded by people who are growth-minded, who believe in their own potential and who support your growth, it's like having this amazing cheer squad for your life.
I love that, a growth mindset cheer squad. So it's like finding those people who lift you up and challenge you to be your best self.
Exactly. And sometimes that might mean distancing yourself from people who are bringing you down.
Yeah, it's not always easy, but sometimes it's necessary for our own well-being.
Okay, I'm feeling super pumped about this whole growth mindset thing now. But before we go full-on rah-rah, I want to address something that came up in the sources. This idea that growth mindset doesn't mean you're positive all the time. Because let's be real, life can be tough, and we all get frustrated sometimes.
You're hitting on a really common misconception. A lot of people think that having a growth mindset means you have to be happy and optimistic all the time. But that's just not realistic, is it?
Definitely not. It's like trying to pretend that those negative emotions don't exist.
And that's where another key aspect of growth mindset comes in, resilience. It's not about denying those negative emotions, but rather about how you respond to them.
So it's okay to feel frustrated, to struggle, to want to give up sometimes.
Absolutely. What matters is that you don't let those feelings control you. You acknowledge them, you understand where they're coming from, and then you use them to fuel your growth. That's such a powerful way to look at it. So it's not about being perfect. It's about embracing the messy, sometimes challenging process of growth.
Exactly. And it's important to remember, even with a growth mindset, it won't always be easy. But ultimately, it's about unlocking your full potential and living a more fulfilling life. And that's pretty incredible, don't you think?
I totally agree. And speaking of unlocking potential, the sources had some really interesting points about how a growth mindset goes beyond just the end result. It's about progress.
It's about the journey of constant improvement, pushing yourself beyond that comfort zone and celebrating those milestones along the way. It's not about beating yourself up if you don't get it perfect on the first try.
It's more about recognizing how far you've come and what you can learn from each experience. Makes me think of the sources talking about who we surround ourselves with.
Choosing our company wisely is a big deal. The people we spend our time with, they have this sneaky influence on our mindsets, you know? If you're surrounded by those who embrace challenges and truly believe in potential, their energy can be crazy contagious.
It's like having a built-in support system that's constantly reminding you, hey, you got this, keep learning, keep growing. It's a total game changer.
And on the flip side, being around folks with a fixed mindset, the ones who are constantly complaining and making excuses that can seriously drag you down, you need to watch out for those growth mindset killers.
It's like their negativity is trying to suck you back into the land of fixed mindsets.
Yeah.
It sounds like being mindful of who we let into our inner circle is key to maintaining a positive outlook.
Absolutely. It's all about building an environment where growth is not just encouraged, but celebrated, where it's the norm, not the exception. We were talking about celebrating those small wins earlier, and one thing that really resonated with me from the source material is that having a growth mindset doesn't mean we have to be positive all the time.
That's such a relief to hear.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, life throws us curveballs, and sometimes it's just plain hard. Even with the best mindset in the world, we're going to experience those moments of frustration or self-doubt.
Exactly. And that's where another common misconception comes in. Some people think having a growth mindset means denying those negative emotions altogether, but that's just not realistic, is it?
Definitely not. It's like trying to pretend those feelings aren't there. It's much healthier to acknowledge them and figure out how to work through them.
That's where resilience comes in. It's not about ignoring those negative emotions, but rather about how you respond to them. It's about acknowledging them, understanding where they're coming from, and then developing those coping mechanisms that help you move forward.
Could you give us an example of what those coping mechanisms might look like?
Absolutely. Think about mindfulness practices or reframing negative thoughts into more positive or productive ones. It's about taking those negative feelings and turning them into fuel for growth, rather than letting them hold you back.
That's such a powerful way to look at it. So instead of getting stuck in that cycle of negativity, we can actually use those experiences to make ourselves stronger.
I love that. And, reading through those sources got me thinking about all the inspiring stories of people who've achieved incredible things despite facing so many setbacks.
Yes, those stories are the best. Think about any successful entrepreneur, artist, athlete. Chances are their journey was anything but a straight line to the top. They faced rejection, criticism, self-doubt, and probably wanted to give up a million times. But they had that unshakable belief in their ability to learn, adapt, and improve. That's what kept them going.
It's like they had this voice inside them saying, I may not be there yet, but I'm getting closer every single day. That's the beauty of a growth mindset, isn't it?
It really is. It allows us to view those failures not as defeats, but as valuable feedback. It's like getting a cheat sheet to help us course correct and come back even stronger.
Like Thomas Edison famously said, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. It's about shifting our perspective and seeing those setbacks as learning opportunities.
Yes.
Exactly, and that leads to a really important point that our sources highlighted. Cultivating a growth mindset is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. You're not going to magically transform overnight.
So it's more like we're constantly evolving and strengthening that growth mindset muscle.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect all the time. It's about those consistent efforts to embrace challenges, seek feedback, celebrate those small wins, and surround ourselves with the right people. And sometimes we'll fall short, but it's about getting back up and trying again.
That's the key takeaway here. It's not about beating yourself up for those slip-ups. It's about recognizing those moments and gently guiding yourself back to that growth-oriented path.
This makes me think about how self-compassion plays into all of this.
It's huge. You have to remember that growth isn't linear. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns along the way. But as long as you keep striving to learn and believe in your ability to grow, you're on the right track. It's about embracing the entire journey, all of it, and trusting that you're becoming the best version of yourself with every step you take.
And you know what? This entire conversation has me thinking about the ripple effect a growth mindset can have on other areas of our lives, our relationships, our careers, our overall well-being, even.
It's like a secret weapon to unlock new levels of happiness and success in everything we do. Imagine approaching your relationships with a growth mindset. Conflicts become opportunities for growth and deeper understanding, not reasons to point fingers.
You're focusing on solutions, communicating honestly, and constantly trying to learn and adapt to each other's needs. It's a complete game changer.
And in our careers, a growth mindset can mean the difference between being stuck in a rut and reaching for the stars. You're not afraid to take on new challenges, you're actively seeking opportunities to learn and grow, and you're constantly working to improve your skills.
And then there's the impact on our overall well-being. A growth mindset allows us to cultivate self-compassion and embrace our imperfections, focusing on our strengths and potential rather than dwelling on our perceived weaknesses.
It's about knowing deep down that we're capable of change, that we can learn from our mistakes, and that we have the power to create a life that feels truly meaningful. And that leads us perfectly to our final thought for today's deep dive. A question for you, our dear listener, to ponder.
If you were to adopt just one of these growth mindset practices, which would have the biggest impact on your life right now and why, we want you to really think about it.
Take some time to reflect on what resonates most deeply with you, what feels like that most powerful catalyst for positive change in your life right now.
Maybe it's finally deciding to embrace those challenges that have been holding you back for far too long, or gathering the courage to seek that feedback you've been avoiding.
Or maybe it's about shifting your focus from end results to the progress you're making along the way, taking the time to celebrate those small wins that often go unnoticed.
Or perhaps it's about consciously creating a circle of growth-minded individuals who will inspire you to reach for the stars, those people who will always believe in your potential.
Whichever practice you choose, remember that even small shifts in mindset can lead to really remarkable transformations in your life.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of growth mindset.
We hope you found it valuable and that you're feeling inspired to embrace the incredible power of growth in your own life.
Remember, we're all on a journey of continuous learning and development.
And we're here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, keep those growth mindsets flourishing.
It's really amazing how much we've uncovered about growth mindset. in this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to apply some of these principles in my own life. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to that thought-provoking question you left our listeners with.
Ah, yes, the question. Which growth mindset practice will you commit to embracing? It's a powerful question because it encourages action. It's one thing to learn about growth mindset.
Right. It's another thing entirely to actually put it into practice in our daily lives.
Exactly. And that's where the real magic happens, when we start to embody these principles and see the positive changes they can bring.
Absolutely. And I love how you emphasize that there's no right or wrong answer to that question.
It's all about finding what resonates with each individual and what feels most relevant to their current situation and needs. For some folks,
Yeah.
maybe it's about finally embracing those challenges they've been avoiding for far too long.
Right. Like taking that leap of faith and stepping outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. But for others, it might be about shifting their focus from end results to progress, celebrating those small wins along the way.
Which is so important because it's easy to get caught up in that all or nothing mentality.
It really is. And celebrating those small victories can make a huge difference in terms of motivation and momentum.
For sure. And, for some people, it might be about consciously creating a more supportive environment for growth, surrounding themselves with those positive, growth-minded individuals.
Absolutely, because our social circles have such a powerful impact on our mindsets and our beliefs.
Totally. It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. So it's crucial to choose our company wisely and make sure we're surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and inspire us.
Well said. So, to our listeners out there, we encourage you to take some time to really reflect on that question. Which growth mindset practice will you commit to embracing? And remember, even the smallest shifts in mindset can have ripple effects, leading to remarkable transformations in all areas of your life.
And we're here to support you every step of the way. Keep those growth mindsets flourishing. And until next time, happy learning and growing.
See y'all in the next deep dive.